Today on Weekend Review, the semifinals in the CIHL will be underway. The Métis Nation look to build a complex in Terrace, and a local man earns a military award for the way that he treats his employees. Hello, I'm Damian Smith, and thank you for joining us here on Week in Review. We start today with the CIHL playoffs as we are currently in the semifinals with 4 teams remaining. This weekend, the Terrace River Kings will have a chance to make it back to the Cameron Kerr Cup finals, while the Williams Lake Stampeders will try and win on home ice. But before that, let's take a look at the Hazelton Wolverines, who have been one of the teams that have emerged in recent years in the CIHL. Should be very interested heading into the CIHL playoffs with the Terrace River Kings coming in with a 16-2 record, and the Hazelton Wolverines, who also had a great season, coming as the number 3 seed in the overall standings, and both teams are going to be going up against each other here in the semifinals.
Overall, we've had a pretty good season. We've got quite a bit of depth on this team this year, and they've all bought into our systems, and I just feel like we've succeeded quite well this year.
Now, the Wolverines actually lost their first game against the Rampage in the quarterfinals, but came out with 2 key victories on home ice to secure the quarterfinal win. And now they will be going up against the Terrace River Kings, who hold the number 1 seed in the entire standings.
I thought it was a battle the whole series. They picked up a new goaltender that played in the NCAA Division I, and he was pretty solid. And their whole team they've been a strong team for quite some years now, and they weren't going away quietly.
And the 13-4-1 record is actually the best regular season record that they've recorded in their history, which is a slight bump from their 13-5 record recorded in the 2024 season. They now look to capture their first Cameron Kerr trophy and are looking to make the finals for the first time in the organization's history.
And ever since the COVID-19 pandemic, the Hazelton Wolverines have been on a steady climb in the standings, coming up to this year where they've been in back-to-back situations in the regular season where they have been in the top half of the standings, and right now they will be on home ice for game 1. However, coming into the series as the number 3 seed, the game 2 will head back to Terrace, and a possible game 3 will also be in Terrace if the situation does present itself as a best of 3.
Well, they've been a really good team for at least 3 years now, and it's great to have lots of teams in our league that are competitive, and so we enjoy that. But yeah, no, Hazelton's definitely a very good hockey team, and we've played them, like I said, at least 3 times now in the playoffs, and we expect a tough hockey game.
And right now, the River Kings are the team to beat, as they won the regular season, they won the playoffs last year, and they also won the Koi Cup for British Columbia. So they are the team to beat, and the Wolverines will be up to the test. From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith. And the Terrace River Kings hit the ice for the first time in 3 weeks after earning a buy-in into the semifinals. The defending Koi Cup champions are ready to start their journey to the Cameron Kerr Cup for the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons. Here is a playoff preview for the Terrace River Kings.
Well, it's been a little while since the Terrace River Kings took to the ice. That's because the team got a buy-in into the semifinals for the Central Interior Hockey League playoffs. And with an organization high of a 16-2-0 record, they will look to continue that success up against the Hazelton Wolverines.
Now, these 3 teams have played each other 3 times in the regular season. Back in late September was the home opener for the River Kings. They came out with a win against the Wolverines, and then they beat them again in the middle of the season. And in the final game of the regular season for the River Kings, they came out with a 7-3 loss against the Wolverines, and that was actually the last game they played against them.
And the team will be missing 2 players from the roster for the playoff run, including leading scorer Ryan Roseboom and Marcus Mitchell, who had 10 points in 7 games. And despite that, the team has been in this situation before.
Not ideal, obviously, but you look at our roster last year, and Ryan was away in Australia, so we didn't have Ryan for our playoff run last year. And then Marcus also got hurt last year in the finals. So it's just a matter of someone else stepping up on our team. We have good depth, and injuries happen. Every team goes through that, and so we're just looking at game one, and I know the boys will be ready.
Now, the Terrace Sportsplex Arena can hold up to a capacity of 1,200 people in total if each person is sitting on the bench beside each other with no space in between. And Francoeur believes that there will be a big turnout on Saturday coming up next weekend here in Terrace.
Fans will have to wait one more game, however, to see the team in attendance in Terrace, as the first game will be hosted in Hazelton on Saturday with a 7:30 p.m. puck drop.
Every year they seem to go to 3 games. Both teams are hungry to, obviously advance and play the winner of the Eastern Conference. But we expect a tough, good hockey game for all 3 games, or potentially 3 games.
And for the River Kings, they're going to be out with 2 of their best players, 2 of their top scorers as well, who will be out for the entire playoffs. And they were both injured in the latter half of the regular season. So it should be a tough test for the squad overall. But the team and the organization feels as though they have a great shot to win the title once again. From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith. And during last weekend, the River Kings came out with a 5-2 win against the Wolverines on the road. The game was tied at 2 apiece after the second period, but a goal midway through the third period from Mason Ritchie put the River Kings up by 1, and then the team potted 2 more empty net goals to finish the game at 5-2. The next game will be this Saturday evening with the chance to send the River Kings to the Cameron Kerr Cup Finals. And in the Eastern Conference, the Williams Lake Stampeders, despite being down 4-2 midway through the second period to Quesnel, managed to come back off of a goal from Nicholas Vidanza with just under 8 minutes left to play. They'll also have a chance to head to the finals this Saturday at 8:30 p.m. And sticking to news on the ice, a long-awaited Zamboni now has been revealed in Terrace, which is said to be safer, quieter, and less expensive to run. This new Zamboni will also decrease the city's carbon footprint. The Zamboni will be fueled by a lithium-ion battery that will be plugged into a charging station, and the Zamboni looks to replace the propane-fueled Zamboni that did its service for nearly 2 decades. And for the Zamboni nerds out there, the make and model is the Zamboni 650. It is made of fiberglass. It can hold up to 200 gallons of water, and the blade length is at 77 inches in total. It was purchased by the Terrace Community Forest and the Northwest Regional Benefits Alliance. And staying in Terrace, reported on Tuesday an incident between 2 men ended up with both of them in the hospital. As a result, a 25-year-old man has been charged as well, which originally started in the area near Monroe Street and Gare Avenue. With the 2 men fighting, both appeared to be injured and 1 vehicle was damaged as well. 1 man was taken to the hospital and 1 was taken into custody, but both received medical treatment for their injuries. Yesterday, the arrested man was charged with an assault, including a weapon, mischief, and failure to comply with release order. And in federal news, Skeena-Bulkley Valley MP Taylor Bachrach gave his thoughts on the Liberal government deciding to award a high-speed rail project that will run between Toronto and Quebec City to a private consortium. Bachrach said that he has become very concerned for the future of Via Rail in rural communities due to this announcement, especially since the corridor that covers a stretch of land from Prince Rupert to Halifax currently generates over 80% of the company's revenue. As the NDP's transportation critic, Bachrach has been very vocal in his desire to see improved rail service, but is hoping to see it done in a way where the general public is the main benefactor, not private companies. Up next, the Métis Nation looked to build a complex for the Terrace community. Welcome back to Week in Review here on CFTK-TV. The Métis Nation of BC, who recently broke ground on a daycare near downtown Terrace, have now planned phase 1 of a construction project, and now we've received more info on what the plans are for the future of the site. Here's Jaylee Matthews of CFTK-TV.
The Métis Nation of BC say they're transforming a large vacant property in downtown Terrace that used to be the site of the old co-op building into a dynamic, multi-phase, mixed-use development that enhances Terrace's downtown character and economy.
There's 98,000 self-identified, and we have an upwards of 28,000 registered Métis citizens with our nation, and so it's really about bringing those people home and back to our community. And so this is one of those communities where we want to hopefully bring more folks home and housing them with our development.
The project will feature a 44-space licensed childcare center, affordable housing, and commercial space.
And our whole structure, our whole thing is built on, community initiatives, community gathering, bringing our people back together. And with our daycare structure, one of our mottos at the Métis Nation of BC is the child in the middle. We'd like to put the child in the middle and develop things around that, how we can see that child grow, to give them the best opportunity at life. And one of them is these daycare centers, to be able to put our children in there, but also make them available for First Nations and community members within the community. So we can bring them together and help them all grow together, and live in that same environment. In my mind, it gets rid of a lot of the issues that we've been dealing with for a lot of years, and which I hate to say the word, but is racism. There's been a lot of that happening throughout history. If we bring our children together in the same environment, they grow in that environment, they learn to teach their kids that, and they learn. We start getting rid of that, that evil word, that racism thing, because the kids don't see that. All they see is friendship among other friends. They don't worry about color. They don't worry about who people are. They just meet another little child, and that's their friend, eh? And then as they grow together, it allows them to grow even further in society. As they get into elementary school, they keep that, keep that growth. They keep that mindset, and they gather together with everybody. And as that grows, it just extends further and further and further. And hopefully one day we can get rid of most of those issues of hatred and racism, and all our children can grow together, and we don't have to worry about that type of environment no more.
For CFTK-TV in Terrace, I'm Jaylene Matthews.
In a disappointing announcement, a longtime and beloved mayor in the Northwest has died in Alice Maitland, who had an extensive history with the town of Hazelton. Maitland was first elected to Hazelton Council back in 1965, and in 1976 she became the mayor of Hazelton and remained in that position up until 2018, a remarkable 42 years, making her the longest serving mayor in BC history. MP Taylor Bachrach described Maitland as a renowned champion for rural communities, with Maitland growing up in Hazelton herself. And Terrace Mayor Sean Buyatash described Maitland as a friend and fierce voice for the Hazeltons. Smithers Mayor Gladys Attrells stated that Maitland's commitment to her community, region, and supporting women in government will be her legacy. Maitland passed away at 91 years of age. And the Northwest will be down a favorite music show this summer, as it was announced Thursday that the Kispiox Valley Music Festival has been canceled for this summer. Located just 15 minutes north of Hazelton, the festival, which has been around since 1995, will not have any shows this summer, as the board has stated that they would like to take a step back and reassess their situation going forward. The board expects this to be a one-off, however, as they expect to be back next year for the, quote, best experience possible in the years ahead. This is a non-for-profit society, and the festival usually takes place on the last full weekend of July, solely run by volunteers. The town of Smithers has sent out a reminder to residents to provide feedback on the draft Smithers Economic Development Plan. The purpose of the plan is for it to reflect the town's current economic landscape, to help make decisions, and to enhance the community's well-being, and to put Smithers in a position that makes them a great place to do business. Residents will have an opportunity to give their thoughts as well. After the break, a local man earns a military award for his treatment of his employees. Hello again. Well, an employer in Terrace was publicly recognized for the way he treats his employees And here's Cale Maslin of CFTK-TV with more on this story.
Earlier today, the president of an internet service provider company that is located in Terrace and is called Sienna Networks was recently presented with an honor known as the Canadian Armed Forces Liaison Council Employer Appreciation Award. Robert Chapman later described in an interview how it felt to receive this award.
I'm extremely surprised, actually. I did not know this was coming. We do like to be very fair in how we support the communities and what we can do for our staff and our flexibility. So to receive an award for that is very good. I'm very surprised that actually happened, and I'm excited for it.
Chapman further emphasized his company's focus on flexibility by making sure that his employees can take some time off for extracurricular activities and even assist them with resources if needed. Chapman was nominated for the award by his business development and services manager, Zoltan Pastelovich, who also elaborated why he thought his boss was a fitting winner of the award.
Because he's been really good for whenever I had to go to him for any exercises, requesting time off for the Rangers. Even, a couple of times within a month, he had no problem giving me time off. I would say I need time off for going on an exercise, and then I would need time off for doing a course, and he had absolutely no issue giving me time off for when it came to the Rangers.
Pastelovich thought this nomination was also a good way to show appreciation for Robert for all the ways he has helped make his life a little bit easier. For CFTK TV News, I'm Cale Maslin.
And this past weekend also saw Guns and Hoses in Kitimat, where the RCMP faced off against the firefighters, paramedics for this annual ritual. Local firefighters faced off against police in what is sure to be a tense game, as the teams were 1-1 since the pandemic. Entry was by donation and fund to go to the Firefighters Ladder of Hope Charitable Foundation. The puck dropped on Saturday at 7 p.m. at the Tamatik Arena, and doors opened at 6 p.m. And in that game, the Kitimat RCMP came out with a 6-4 win against the firefighter paramedics, improving their record to 2-1 in all-time history. Donations were pitched towards the Kitimat Firefighters Association's Ladder of Hope charity that will help the youth in the community. And staying in Kitimat and with the RCMP, but for different reasons, the RCMP say someone got T-boned before the end of last week. Luckily, no one was injured, and in their weekly report, the RCMP said that the collision happened when one vehicle was leaving a business, and as they pulled out, they hadn't seen another vehicle passing by, causing the crash. As a result, both vehicles drove away from the scene. And BC restaurants saw a boost in sales recently thanks to the Four Nations Cup final featuring Canada and the U.S. The British Columbia Restaurant and Food Service Association says sales were up 60% in total. Despite the success, many establishments are reportedly still only hanging on by a thread, with restaurateurs calling on BC residents to support their local restaurants. Still to come, a new RCMP building is set to be ready in Prince Rupert by this spring. Welcome back to our final segment here on A Week in Review. On the coast, the Prince Rupert RCMP will now have a new infrastructure available sometime this spring. After 2 years of planning and construction, and I got a chance to catch up with Mayor Herb Pond, who has seen the steps needed to take to make sure that the building could be completed.
At the corner of McBride Street and 3rd Avenue East, the Prince Rupert RCMP will now have a new building in the next couple of months. And according to Mayor Herb Pond, this has been a very long-term project.
I was in the mayor's office 20 years ago, and the federal government was pressuring us then to say, you need to provide a new facility.
The local community of over 12,000 citizens had to pitch in with taxes towards this building, and his team had to take out a loan as well for this $25 million project.
Thankfully, they've been also very creative at finding the money to do it in a way that really hasn't directly impacted taxpayers. It's taken other opportunities away, unfortunately, but it has not really hit taxpayers in any significant way.
The construction of the new building originally started over 2 years ago, when while there's no word out yet on the official move-in date, The mayor wants this building to be here for the years to come. Inside the soon-to-be old building on 6th Avenue, a priority of need was to fix the tolerance on jail cell doors for officer and prisoner safety.
And when you walk through it, you begin to understand how much different the facilities today are from the demands of the past. Some of that's, in fact, technology and the changes in technology, but also in what people have learned around the safest ways to, every time there's an incident somewhere, there's a review, and the review results in some sort of different understanding of how things might be done better.
And the next related building to tackle is the Prince Rupert Fire Department, where he'll have to turn to the provincial and federal government, where the city will have to muster up approximately $400 to $450 million of asset replacement and upgrading. From CFTK-TV, I'm Damian Smith.
And the Prince Rupert Port Authority's Community Investment Fund and Shames My Mountain Co-op have once again partnered up, this time with the intent of adapting critical infrastructure and making sure that the Shames Mountain recreational site has a safe and consistent season via the new Climate Resiliency Project. This project will help the mountain mitigate the impacts of warmer and wetter winters that have been predicted by several different long-term forecasts for the general region. This means that the PRPA has now spent a total of $521,000 on Shames Mountain-related projects. And for the Nisga'a community, we saw last Friday and Saturday be the celebration of Ho'opi'eh. Ho'opi'eh is the Nisga'a New Year and celebrates the arrival of the first traditional harvest and the Nisga'a people's renewed connection to the land. The Nisga'a Samics Vancouver Society said that Ho'opi'eh is a time to honor ancestors, celebrate identity, and pass down traditions. They say that just as the crescent moon signals abundance, Ho'opi'eh represents renewal, unity, and strength. And in the Northwest, a large celebration that's open to all took place in Nuayanch last weekend. Attendees expected an abundance of dance, culture, drumming, and food as well. Now we turn to a piece on a piece of artwork that we saw last month in the process of being installed in the new Gitsan West Secondary School being constructed in Gitwangak. The piece, now completed, is titled Convergence and was designed by Arlene Ness. Convergence will welcome students into the school just past the entrance, serving as the floor of the gathering circle. Ness said the piece was meant to symbolize each of the three communities of Gitnyao, Gitwangak, and Gitsagekla coming together to form a powerful vortex. The Gitsan West Secondary School is in its final phases of completion and is expected to open in the fall for the upcoming school year. And the latest survey from LPSOS says if an election were held today, 38% of Canadians would support the Liberal Party, while 36% would back the Conservatives. The poll puts the Liberals in the lead for the first time in nearly 4 years, a shift from just 6 weeks ago when the Conservatives held a 26-point lead. Lager's latest survey says the Conservatives still have a 3-point lead over the Liberals, but shows the gap is narrowing. And that will be all for this week here on Week in Review. We'll be back on Monday for our regular newscast at 5, 6, and 11 o'clock here on CFTK-TV. Thank you very much for watching, and have a good rest of your weekend.